Hey folks, welcome back to Failure Retirement. So guys, been pretty busy again. It's just a thing around here. But this time it's been a little different than the norm. The guy just recently got back from a 7-day cruise to the Mexican Riviera. So I got that going for me. So I've been home, I don't know, a week or so. I had videos preloaded for when I was gone. So I've been home and starting to get back in the saddle, back in the groove here. And I wanted to show you one of the next truck projects I'm going to work on today. But then I also got to say, I'm going to start working on this truck next. I'm also working on the Pike Bank out. It just comes down to like available painting days, really, for both of these projects, honestly. This one project, I'm not sure if I've shown you this truck before or not. Like maybe early on in my videos, maybe. It's a truck I actually started building 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. But it just kind of got put to the side, and I spent a little bit of time on it here and there, and it's been sitting on my other workbench and kind of in my way, and I just need to get it done. And so that's where I'm at. But then I also want to say I've got a couple for real shop projects that I need to get done. The plan was to do them this winter, and the guy is, rapidly running out of winter now that we're all the way out to the beginning of March. So what does that look like? There's a tractor I need to work on. Actually, a couple tractors I need to work on. I need to put a new deck on my dump trailer and replace the wood sides and stuff like that. Probably repaint it. So there's significant work to do on that trailer. Another one of my other trailers needs a little bit of work. So a guy's not going to have a ton of time, I think, to work on toys. He needs to be in the shop doing real, for honest work, right? So, all right, I'll stop running my mouth and I'll turn this camera around and show you real quick what this truck looks like today, explain the plans for it in the future. Hold up. Okay, so here you go. Sorry about that. You had to get my hand right here on the camera. Do you remember this one? I think I did show it before, like when I showed my overall collection in the very beginning. So what we have here is we have, shockingly, another Smith Miller LMAC, another broken bumper, this time only partially. And I've put a Dopke unit crane on the back, or I'm in the process of making that modification. So what have I done so far? So let me, I made this headboard. It still needs a little bit more work, but we're getting close. Most importantly, oops, boy, forgive me for that. So the unit crane, when it came to me, oh, let me back up just a second, finish on the truck. So I got new wheels and tires for it. This came to me all as separate pieces. So I made new axles for it, front and rear. So these tandems take 4 axles. So let me just get that out of the way. And I will say, this is just how it came off my bench, dust and all. I haven't cleaned it for this video, obviously. Look, it's not even, cab's not even on there. But I'm just going to get this out of the way. So the unit crane, it was the worst unit crane I had at the time. And now I have some others, believe it or not. They're in way worse shape than this. Okay, I apologize again for interrupting myself, but I thought I'd slide this in here real quick. These are the other 2 unit cranes I currently have. Did not have either one of these when I started this project. And as you can see, by comparison, this one here that's on the truck is a beauty. She's like new compared to these other ones. So these ones need paint for sure. So one of my thoughts was, well, maybe swap out the unit cranes real quick. But here's the thing. These like have decent running gear. So I kind of hate to strip that off that frame. I could swap out the cab and the engine deal, all of that. But that, I believe, is probably more work than a guy wants to do. We'll see on that. But then here's the biggie. So these two, they both have this little thumb wheel here. Both of them. And this thumb wheel rotates the cab. So this is, I believe, first year unit crane. I think maybe 1946 only with that thumb wheel. And so there's underneath the cab here, there's like gear for that rotating business. You can see the rod there, the little gear, and then the holes here for the teeth. So this is a later model unit crane. It doesn't have that. And this thumb wheel would sit right up against the cab here where it would be kind of hard to work. And so I think mostly for that reason, I'm not going to switch these unit cranes out. But I just wanted to kind of show you real quick, one, what an original looked like, kind of, and that these are in fact definitely more beaters than the one on the truck. But these are just going to be projects for another day, probably way down the road. But I for sure need one of them for a future project. All right, so now back to the main video. But the undercarriage in this one was just gone. I mean, parts and pieces of it were there, but that undercarriage, axles, wheels, and tires, there wasn't much there. So guys stripped that out. Had to do a little hammer dolly work here, or started it anyway, and made this block of wood to go in there to mount it to the truck. So again, you've heard me say before, Smith Miller used a lot of wood, especially when they were mounting their truck bodies. So that's the idea there. And I don't think this doesn't need to sit on the truck as high as it does. I think this block is still a little too tight. I got to get it back out of there, take a little bit more off of it, and get it slid up the rest of the way in there. And then I'll screw that to the truck chassis with these two holes here. And then I think I'm probably going to end up putting probably 4 screws here, front and back on each side. So that's where I'm at on that. I mean, really, this isn't far off of paint. I just got to get that block adjusted. Go ahead and sandblast it, tear it apart a little bit more, sandblast it. And another thing I did, the original Dopke outriggers weren't going to work for this, obviously. This sitting up on this truck chassis. Sorry about the video here. I should probably pay more attention. But sitting up here on the truck chassis sits much higher than the original unit crane did. And so the original outriggers didn't come close enough to the ground. So a guy made these, fabbed them up where they'll slide out. You can run that bolt up and down. So that took a little doing to get the fitment right on that, but they're working, they're good to go. And then I gotta polish out that headboard there and attach it to the front of the unit crane. So it's really some pretty small details, except for the paint is kind of the big detail. So that's where we're at. Hopefully the guy will be able to squeeze a little time in. between the actual serious projects, but you know, a guy goes squirrel pretty much all the time. So there's no telling how this is going to turn out. I've got another project that I also really want to do that kind of goes along with this. And I was arguing with myself about which one to do first, but this one kind of won out. It's a little further along. So there you have it. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Suggestions, that never hurts. So as always, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time on Failure at Retirement. Have a good day.